For most of my life, I didn't always fit in. In high school, I got called lurker by my so-called friends because I would basically follow them wherever they went for lunch because I wanted someone to sit with. And they would talk about things like parties and girls and all this gossip. And I would just sit there, not really having anything to do with their conversation. I'll just sit there, eating my lunch in silence. I know what it's like to feel invisible. And now I'm not making this video to sort of try and get sympathy or anything, because I've developed the skill of being someone worth talking to. You know, as harsh as it sounds, like, it's true. I just didn't position myself in a way where people would want to speak to me. But when I reflect on that time in my life when I did feel invisible, there was a specific principle from that you can actually take and apply to your life right now. I'd say one of the most underrated skills that a man could have, especially a young man, is learning to be alone. Now, I'm not saying loneliness is a good thing, but I'm saying having the skill of working and doing what is required, building those skills when no one's watching, that's something you can take into every aspect of life. You see, a lot of young men, we feel invisible because by nature, as young men, we're still in the building phase. We're still trying to figure out what we want to do with our lives. We're still building the skills, and no one's really seeing our progress yet. Right? There's this term that I've sort of come up with, and it's a bit of a reframe of this term online called the male advantage by a YouTuber called First Man. He created this term called male advantage, which basically, as you age, as a man, you develop these skills, and then you basically become more attractive, more high value as a man. And so I've reverse engineered it to make it the young male disadvantage, where we're putting in this work, right? So we're hitting the gym, we're meditating, we're going for runs, we're building our businesses or our careers or whatever, right? We're putting in the work, but we don't really have the achievements to show for it yet. And so that's where the skill of being invisible comes from, is learning to put in the work and to stay consistent and to show up even when there isn't that short-term validation. You see, habits take years, right? So it's only until we're about 25 or 30 when that will actually begin to pay off. So are you willing to stay patient in the meantime and continue to develop the skills even when no one is watching, when no one's there to give you that validation? And especially as young, ambitious men, like probably you watching this, it can be pretty discouraging to know that you're putting in the work, but no one else can see that. So for me, a dilemma that I've sort of had to come up with in my mind, and because by nature, like, I'm a pretty ambitious young man, I want to achieve big things in life, I really like, for me, in this case, it actually takes more discipline for me not to, for example, go work a job that and work at it for like 30 or 40 hours a week, right? So for example, like for context, I'm studying at uni. I'm currently working like a part-time tutoring job, and I'm doing some other stuff as well in my life, right? Along with my self-improvement habits. So, going to the gym, meditating, all that. And I thought about it, because a lot of my friends, they're working, they're doing these jobs, they're trying to make money, right? And sometimes I find myself comparing, thinking, like, shouldn't I, if I'm ambitious, shouldn't I like try and make as much money possible now, and sort of get that short-term validation of like, yeah, I'm making money, I'm grinding, I'm hustling, I'm doing all that. Or should I spend that time building skills and putting my mental energy into something that's gonna pay off dividends in the long run? You see what I mean? It's sort of like this weird balance in terms of me not working at some job that's not really high paying, right? Me working some part-time low skilled job right now, that's actually less discipline than me putting in the work to build skills. For example, literally talking in front of a camera, right? That's a skill. Me putting my energy into building skills like this that can pay off in the long run, or getting that short-term validation now, right? You get that validation, you feel like so good, I'm making money, I'm grinding. And that's where this lesson of being invisible comes from. Am I willing to put aside my ego for a second and dedicate my mental energy and focus to developing something that will help pay dividends in the long run, right? So if you're on self-improvement, for you, it's probably like, do I go to the gym when it's like a Friday night, right? You may want to like, I'm not against like if you want to like go out and do stuff with friends, that's really good, right? But I'm just more putting in the example of, would you go to the gym on Friday night, or if you had like a party, right? That you didn't really want to go to, but you had sort of a bit of FOMO and you didn't want to miss out. The version of you who has this mindset of like, I'm willing to do the delayed gratification habits and be invisible, right? Like, because this is going to give you more validation now. But doing this, going to the gym, is going to help you become the man, so that when you're at 25, 30, you have so much more validation than, like sort of external validation. You've got some results, you got something that you can be proud of. You have so much more than if you just did the party, for example. I don't know, it's like a bit of a dumb example, but I want you to think, what type of version are you? Are you the type of person who would delay the gratification, knowing that, yeah, I know if I do the work now, if I'm fine being invisible now, then where is that going to take me in 5 to 10 years time, right? Because in relating it back to the job example, I could work now. I could get that validation now. I could feel like good. I could get that ambitious itch out of me now. But where is that taking me 5 to 10 years time? You see, when I find myself comparing, I often ask myself, and I think, but what actually is the standard for like how far you are in life? Like who's further ahead? Is it the person who's working harder, making more money now? Or is it the guy in the background working on skills that eventually, exponentially, produce exponential results? And so the discipline, in a weird way, I want you to think about this. The discipline isn't always working the hardest. You know, in that case, working 30 to 40 hours right now is not the most disciplined decision. Discipline is simply just doing the actions required to become the version of yourself that you want to be. And so working that 40 hours isn't gonna be discipline. That's not discipline. That's not gonna get me to where I wanna be in 5 to 10 years' time. Because I know that level of money that I'm making then is not really reflective of the level of ambition and the desire, like a lifestyle that I want. Whereas the version of me that delays that validation, delays that need to work and make money and feel good now, this version of me is building skills, learning, being fine, you know, just being comfortable with the fact that, yeah, I'm not going to be noticed right now. People are going to ask you, like, oh, you know, what achievements do you have in life? And at the moment, it's fine for you to just say, like, you know, I don't really have any specific achievements as such that's tangible, but I'm building to become a man who has so many achievements, I won't even be able to like name them all, right? So at the moment, you know, you maybe own the gym for like a couple of years, right? You're not going to be able to say, oh, I won a bodybuilding show or whatever, right? Like, again, just an example. You're not going to be able to say that. But if you continue to stay the course and you continue to do the habits over and over and over and over again, then you'll be able to have so many achievements that you'll have to pick out of 20 different options. Oh, what's my greatest achievement? Oh, you know, I got to think about so many of those. All right, but again, I really want to reinforce that the discipline here is choosing to do what makes you feel invisible now, right? Building those long-term skills that are going to help you become the version of yourself and you want to be in 5 to 10 years' time. That is what's disciplined. You know, and this is something that, this is a message like I'm preaching to myself right now, is because I always find myself comparing. But the new benchmark of success that I want you to have in your mind is not who's necessarily working harder now, but who is getting closer to the trajectory of where they want to be in 5 to 10 years' time. Right, so think about, to make this like actual practical, right? Think about where you want to be in 5 to 10 years' time. Right, so if you're watching this, maybe you're like my age, you're like 20, maybe a little bit older, maybe a bit younger. Think about you in 5 to 10 years' time. What lifestyle do you want to have? What skills do you want to have developed? And what does it take for you right now to do the things that will get you there? And even if that means you might have to put your ego aside and not just work for the sake of it, but you actually have a tangible plan that you trust and say, yeah, I know if I continue to level up skills, then yeah, it may mean that I might not be ahead right now, but in the long run, I'll overtake those guys like there's no tomorrow. I'm going to use a bit of an analogy, and it's gonna make you think, right? But to illustrate this, imagine there's two guys, right? They both have the same goal of wanting to put on muscle. They're both just trying to start out at the gym, right? Version one, right? Guy number one, this guy's like super ambitious, like super motivated, I should say. He takes all the mass gainer shakes, you know, like all those dodgy ones. He goes to the gym every single day and goes for 3 hours a day and lifts really hard, and and does all this for 2 months. Versus the version, the other guy, right? The other guy number 2. This guy, he takes things a little bit slower. So he only goes 3 times per week, only trains for 1 hour per day. But he's eating consistent, he's eating clean, he's working on his form, he's getting good sleep, he's doing all those things, but he only 3 hours per day. Versus the other guy who's like, 20 hours per week, versus this guy's like 3 hours per week, right? But the guy number 2, right, the guy who's consistent, he stays for the entire year. Who do you think is going to make more progress over the year? Obviously guy number 2, right? That's how I want you to think, right? I know I sort of butchered the explanation of that analogy, but I just want you to think and reflect on your own life. What type of guy are you? Are you the mass gainer, like work hard every day, lift as hard as you can and then burn out after 2 months? Or are you the guy who takes things a little slower, you're still ambitious, you still want that physique, but you do it in a more intentional, structured, smart way? What habits or skills are you developing now that's going to help you to get to where you want to be in the future? Think about your goals and think about what it's going to take to get there. Quit the comparison game. Quit needing to feel like, I got to feel this validation now. Because that need to feel that validation of, I'm working hard, I'm doing all this, I'm grinding, but like you're just working for the sake of working, right? Instead of doing that, I want you to really think about, how am I going to build those skills? So you're going to have to kill your ego a little bit and quit comparing against other people and start to think, what is going to be the best decision now that's going to get me to where I want to be? So to avoid rambling any further, we'll cut off the video here. But if you like what I said, I'm making more videos on just becoming more disciplined, more masculine of a guy. So if you're a young guy, you like what I said here, help the algorithm out for me, bro. Subscribe, like, and I'll catch you later. Peace.